Good evening. The Economic Development Committee of the NAACP, Roy Wilkins, Mid-Manhattan Branch, is pleased to present a seminar on women in small business for our community's economic empowerment and growth. On our notable panel tonight, we have Karen Latney Castillo, Marketing Specialist and Financial Education Coordinator with the Lower East Side People's Federal Credit Union. Manuel Akimve, Senior Vice President of Business Development with Optimum Capital Management. Lori Ann Douglas, Attorney specializing in estate planning, estate administration, and real estate matters. Partner with Moses and Singer Law Firm. Aaliyah Baylor, Co-owner, Make My Cake. And Regina Smith, Executive Director of the Harlem Business Alliance. We come to you from the Mid-Manhattan Branch on October 20, 2010.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Gary Johnson. I'm the Chair of Economic Development as well as being First VP. As everyone knows, we're in what they're calling the Great Recession. For the last couple of years, this country has been affected by a significant downturn in the economy that's affecting all of us. All of us who have small businesses, those of us who work for the state or the federal government. Large companies, small companies alike are affected. And this organization, the NAACP, the state conference of which I'm also the chair for economic development, as well as this branch, has decided to focus on some of the things that are taking place and talk about the experiences of people who are in business, the experiences of those who provide financing for business, and those other organizations that provide additional services to businesses. It's also very important that we recognize that women and women-owned business are a significant part of the economy and a growing part of the economy. Not only are women the larger part of the population, but they're increasingly becoming more of the business community in terms of being entrepreneurs in the community. And so this committee, working together, particularly under the leadership of Alfreda, has decided to put together this panel and this workshop to discuss some of these opportunities. So, without further ado, I'd like to identify, first of all, the people in the committee. We've got Martin Harris. Martin, where are you? And we've got Alfreda Thompson. And I will be turning over this panel to her for her to introduce our guests. And I hope that you're able to take a lot out of this committee's work this evening. Alfreda?
Well, first, I just would like to thank everyone for staying. Again, my name is Alfreda Thompson. I'm new to the committee and thankful for your support for coming in listening tonight. First, we're going to hear from Ms. Karen Latney Castillo. She works with the Lower East Side People's Federal Credit Union. And she's going to give us a lot of information about credit, what is strong credit right now. It's a different environment than it was 2 years ago. So, please take it away.
Quick. Hi, everybody. As you know, my name is Karen Latney Castillo. I'm not sure what everybody wants to hear about or where you are individually with your situations with credit, but credit nowadays is a really big thing. People nowadays don't know how to manage their credit. Credit has changed over the years. Your FICO score determines a lot. It determines your percentage of a loan, a car loan, a home loan, and things like that. Your credit score is, if it's low, it's bad. If it's high, it's even better. And unfortunately, the way society is today, credit it makes you or breaks you, and it plays a big part in your life. If you have credit and have built your credit and are maintaining it good, do not close any credit cards. If you can help it, if you can your oldest credit card is your best credit reference, because it shows that you can maintain your credit. I don't even know what else to say. Credit is just a big part of life. It affects you getting a job, it affects you getting an apartment, it affects your everything nowadays. And a lot of people are pulling your credit report. Don't apply for too many credit cards, because it's not good. Store credit cards are not good. Bank credit cards are better, or the or better credit cards. It's a better credit reference for you. I don't know what else to say. Do you have any questions? Excuse me. Questions asked?
I'm sorry, we're gonna save the Q&A for afterwards, so everyone will just make a presentation, and you can hold your questions till later. Okay, next we have Ms. Mandela Kingfay. She is the Senior Vice President at Optimum Capital Management. Please.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing?
I'm great. So I want to speak to you today about investing, and I chose the topic of investing during uncertain times because we are in uncertain times, would you agree? And a lot of the media will make us feel like we get very scared about investing and we want to pull our money out. So I really wanted to talk to you about how you should really approach investing, especially a lot of you, if you're still working, you are investing in your 401ks or your 403bs. So I really wanted to impress upon you the importance of getting into some investment account, because as you see right now, you know, the year-over-year inflation is only at 1.1%. So what that means for a lot of people who are receiving Social Security, you know, 20% of the population receives Social Security currently, and that means no cost of living increases in the benefits. Have y'all heard that? Yes. Okay, good. So I say that because although we know prices aren't raising that much, we just don't know that who's depending on their family member to cover the balance of their Social Security check. So although the cost of living isn't changing, your son or your daughter who's supporting you or your family member who's supporting you, they may be laid off at this point. So a lot of people were looking forward to that small increase. So for the last 2 years, as we all know, there hasn't been an increase, and that could be a problem for some people. But I look to you and say, if you're invested properly and if you take the proper steps, Social Security wouldn't be the only thing that you would be dependent on. So it's really important, especially the people that are still working, to really take certain steps. So the first step I would say is to breathe. Especially if you're investing in the market and you're looking at your retirement accounts, even if you're currently in the market or if you're retired and you're looking at your portfolio, you're in the withdrawal stage, so you're getting monthly income from your portfolio when you were working, I say breathe. Because what happened is a lot of people in the last month, September, we had the best market in the stock market since 1939. So a lot of people who reacted to the market in 2008 and 2000 now, they still haven't moved back into equities and stocks. So they missed that huge rally of stocks. So when we're uncertain and when we're fearful, we make immediate decisions that may not be the best for our portfolio and our financial future. So the first thing I would say is breathe. The second thing I would tell you all is to review your asset allocation. So your balance of stocks and bonds. Even if you're already retired, and you have a portfolio, you want to be reviewing your stocks and bond allocation. It's not over just because you're not working anymore, just because you're not contributing to that account anymore. You want to maintain the money that you have in your account. So when we look at our stock and bond allocation, a quick way to determine how much equity exposure you should be exposed to is to take your age and subtract it by 105. It used to be 100, but a lot of people are living longer, so we have to leave a little more time. So if you subtract your age by 105, that will give you your risk exposure. That's the percentage that you should be exposed to equities. So that's a good, quick way for you to rebalance your portfolio really quickly. I say in terms of, I'm like, trying to get through this really quick, sorry. In regards to your asset allocation, you know, when the market went down in 2008, 4 out of 5 employees aged 56 to 65 were 80% of their portfolio were in stocks. That's a big percentage. Age 56 to 65, they should not have had that much equity exposure. So it's really important to look at your asset allocation. The third, I would say, diversify. You need to have a diversified portfolio. What does that mean to you? It means something different to everybody, but you want to make sure that you have blue chip stocks in your portfolio, so that's big companies that everyone knows about. So like the Microsofts, the Disneys, those are big blue chip stocks. Blue chip stock fund. So when we're talking about mutual funds, you look, and the good thing about mutual funds is it usually tells you what type of fund it is. So when you say, it might not say blue chip stocks fund, it may say growth fund, or it may say S&P 500 fund. So those are little tips that let you know that you have exposure to a blue chip stock fund. Also, you want to have exposure to a foreign blue chip stock fund. So that's something like that has exposure to Samsung, Vodafone. Those are all companies that should be in that type of portfolio and that type of mutual fund. You want to have exposure to a high yield bond fund. So these are all, I'm saying this to you because I know a lot of times you get your retirement statement and you're not sure what large cap, small cap, what does diversification mean when I'm looking at the names of these funds. So with this direction, you can say, okay, is there an S&P fund in my selection of funds? Is there a high yield bond fund, which is something you should have? Is there an inflation protection fund in the funds in the selection? So that will give you a good idea of where you should be. Next, I would say that you really need to get assistance. So a lot of our 401k, a lot of our 403b providers give some type of assistance. While they can't, a lot of them won't direct you on what stock, or what mutual fund to select. They can give you direction on what does large cap mean, what does small value mean, what does inflation protection fund mean. They can give you direction on that, but if you don't call, you'll never get that information. So I really want to tell you that as crazy as it looks in the market, and you see the Dow going up and the Dow going down, the S&P it's up about 6% year to date. The NAACP is up about 8% if you're talking about long-term investing. So it's really important for you not to get caught up in what the news is saying, especially if you're investing for the long term or you're already retired. You need to really look at asset allocation and diversification. It's really key.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Ms. Lori Ann Douglas. She is a partner with Moses and Singer Law Firm. She's going to speak about, now that we've heard about some things about building our wealth, she's going to give us some information about how to transfer it, how to keep most of it if we can, and transfer it to the next generation. Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, one of the things that makes what I'm going to talk about a little different from the rest of the panel is that recession really makes no difference in what I do, because the reality is everybody's going to die. Okay? So, I mean, that's the truth. Everybody's going to die, we just don't know when. That's the only issue. So, I am an attorney, and I concentrate my practice in trust and estates, which means I do estate planning, which is the preparation of the documents that, the living come to my office. I prepare their documents for when they die. Once a person's dead, their loved ones come to my office and I help administer the estate. And then I'm a former New York County District Attorney, so I like to litigate, so I still have a very active practice in surrogates court litigation, as well as guardianship practice for people who need to become appointed guardians to take care of disabled loved ones. And so the reason I went into this practice area is, the first reason is obvious. Everybody's going to die. You just don't know when, and so therefore it's like a built-in client base. I have not seen any difference in my practice in the recession because people plan for death and people just drop over. So there's always this. But the reason I actually focused on this is when I left the DA's office, which was now a very long time ago, and I hung out my shingle out of my apartment, and I was looking for different practice areas. Two things happened right away. One is very good friends of mine were having a baby, and so they said, hey, don't we need a will? So that was my first estate planning client. They had their daughters now 17, and as their wealth has grown and they have different needs, we've revised their estate plan several times. And then the other unfortunate thing that happened right about the same time was my best friend's grandmother died. She just had a stroke on the bus. And they gave me the estate to administer. So I was like, I know a lot of people that are going to die. And so I said, this is a practice area that I could build a practice. And I went to a continuing legal education class. This is like in 1990, I think it was 1993. And I went to a continuing legal education class where there were, 300 attorneys that are there for a basic estate planning course. And I walked in, and there was not one person of color in the whole room. And so I said, not only do I know a lot of folks gonna die, I know a lot of black folks gonna die. And if you recognize the problem, there are no trust in estates, there are not enough minority trust in estates attorneys. And so what happens is our community, that results in two huge problems. The first problem is the immediate problem for your family, whoever is the person to die, their family has all kinds of unnecessary problems and stresses in dealing with the state administration problems and issues at a time when they are already a weakened group of people. And especially since this conference was geared towards women, when a woman dies, it is often the cog in the family. So mom has died, or the daughter that helped take care of the elderly parents and the minor children has died, the sister, whatever. And so while these people are now trying to grieve, they're also going to start fighting because there's stuff that has to be done, there are assets that have to be distributed. People think, oh, mom died, I get her house. Well, you don't get her house until, lots of other people get, first ones being taxes. So we got a lot of stuff that has to happen when a person dies, and without proper planning for the results of the family can be devastating. You lose a lot of money, you have a lot of discord. But even more importantly, in our community, without proper estate planning, we lose a lot of money as a community in generational transfers. Because without proper estate planning, the estate administration always costs more, it takes longer, and you always lose more wealth in the transfer from one generation to the other. The better the estate planning, the better your chances of getting more money. If there's no estate planning, it's a disaster, and anywhere in between, that makes it, it affects the efficiency of that estate administration. And in our community, it's especially a crisis because if we did proper estate administration, just based on in the 15 years or so that I've been doing it, I am convinced that if every African American over 60 did some estate planning now, we could be the richest minority community in one generation by the time my son is 60. Because we lose money in taxes, we lose property. The African American community has lost millions and millions of privately owned land because people die, nobody pays the real estate taxes, a whole bunch of siblings own a piece of property together. I'm sure everybody in this room either lost family-owned property in the South or in the islands, or you're about to lose it, or you know people who lost it. That's because of bad estate planning and bad estate administration. So I went into this practice area so I could serve my community, and it's very important, therefore, for everybody to do some kind of planning. And it depends on your own personal needs, what your asset structure is, what your family structure is, as to what it is that you need and will be the most effective for you. But the one thing I can say that everybody needs, and if you don't have it, you should go and have a will made. There are some key documents that everybody should have, and if you don't have them, you should leave here and make your best effort to get it done in 30 days, because everybody's going to die, just don't know when. So, everybody should have a last will and testament. A last will and testament is the document that states how you're going to dispose of all your assets upon your death, who gets the assets, and how you want them to receive those assets. And it's very important because while you may have 3 kids, one may be financially very responsible, one might have creditor problems, one might have a bad divorce. you can set up in your wills all the different ways to ensure that your loved ones inherit whatever they're going to in a way that protects them from creditors, protects them from the bad divorce, assists them in managing their money. And the most important thing about a will is it's the only legal document where you can appoint physical and financial guardians for minor children. And if a single parent who does not know where the other parent is, or the single parent is the legal guardian, the sole legal guardian of that child, if that person dies or both parents die in a common accident, the only way you get guardians appointed for minor children is through the court system. And then it's up to some judge to pick between your brother who's loving and your sister who's kind of a jerk but is excited that your kids come with life insurance proceeds. What can I tell you? That's the reality of what I actually do every day is deal with family matters and all that goes on when people die. So everybody should have a last will and testament, and everyone should have medical directives and financial directives in the event of disability. If you become disabled for any reason and cannot make your own medical decisions, you need to appoint somebody legally under New York State law to make that decision for you, because if you go to a hospital and somebody has to decide, whether you need a blood transfusion or not, and your family members disagree, there has to be one person that the doctors can go to, and if they're going to be worried about a lawsuit because we don't know who to pick, this person or that person, you're going to die in the time that they go to the court to get the answer. So you need to have medical directives, a healthcare proxy, appoint somebody to make your medical decisions if you're unable to, and a living will, which is a document, it's an end-of-life document that says basically if you're terminal, irreversible brain damage, terminal, or there's one other thing. I can't think of it right now. But that life support will only prevent you from naturally dying. Basically, if you were taken off the machines, you would naturally expire. If you would want that, you need to have that living will so that healthcare proxy can have sort of the backup so that when they say, take them off the machine, they have the backup to feel comfortable about making that decision, because it's a difficult decision for your loved one. And then everybody should have a financial power of attorney. If you become disabled and you cannot access your own finances for any reason, even if you're married, unless every single thing you own is joint, and even then, while you may be able to access that joint bank account, you can't close a joint bank account, you can't sell a joint piece of property, you can't do anything unless somebody has appointed your legal attorney, in fact, to act on your behalf in terms of your financial interests. If you don't have one and you need one, the only remedy is to go to the court and get appointed a guardian. And while it's an expedited proceeding and it's supposed to take, within 30 to 60 days, it often doesn't. It's costly. Lots of attorneys get appointed in your problem by the court who all get paid out of your money. And so these are just documents, a healthcare proxy, a living will, a financial power of attorney. There are even documents that you can, probably get off on the internet. I think the state has, Department of State has some of those draft documents. But everybody should prepare them, either with the assistance of an attorney or without, and should make sure they're executed properly and, immediately, as well as take care of having a last will and testament. And then, depending on your financial situation, your asset structure, there are all kinds of documents that can be prepared to assist in the transfer of the wealth, so it's efficient as well as tax efficient, because there are estate taxes, income tax, you sell property, capital gains taxes, all kinds of taxes. And when a person dies, literally, if there's an estate tax owed, and in New York State, there's an estate tax due for a single person if you have $1 million in assets. And that is not a lot. In New York, if you add equity in your home, money in the bank, life insurance proceeds, because if your life insurance is not set up properly, the cash that goes to your beneficiary comes into your estate for estate tax purposes. All of this, those estate taxes are due exactly 9 months from the date of death. They do not care about your personal problems, about you couldn't sell the property, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. They're due in cash 9 months from the date of death, both federal if it applies, and state. And if you don't have the liquidity in your estate, it just penalties and interest accrue right away. Final income tax returns are due. All of these things have to happen. So if anybody has any questions, and when the other panelists speak, I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. But it's very important not only to do your own estate planning, but when somebody dies, even if it looks like there's nothing to do, there is probably something that needs to be done in an estate administration. So if somebody dies, go see an attorney that does it and just find out what do we have to do, even if you're married and you own everything jointly. The surviving spouse often looks like we don't have anything to do. Things always have to be done, especially in terms of taxes. So that's my spiel for do your estate planning.
Thank you for that, Ms. Douglas. I also want to just mention quickly, just to piggyback on that, you can bequeath some of your assets or all of them to the NAACP.
You can, and actually if you do that, you definitely need to do that, you should do the will, but if you do that, your estate and or you individually on your file income tax return and or your spouse, depending on how you set it up, gets a full deduction. So it's great to donate to charity because you get the full charitable deduction on your estate tax return. And that's very important. And there are plenty of ways through financial planning in order to leave large gifts to charity without putting much money out of your pocket. For example, a life insurance policy, you pay the premium for however long, a small amount, and then when you die, you leave $5 million to the NAACP. So charitable giving, we can set up all kinds of ways to help you out tax-wise and do a good thing for your community.
Okay, without further ado, we have Ms. Aaliyah Baylor. She is co-founder and co-owner of Make My Cake with her mom, Joanne Baylor. I just want to take out a minute to let you know that in this month's Essence, she is highlighted in a Jeep Cherokee ad. And it highlights her bakery on 116th. Without further ado, Ms. Aaliyah Baylor.
Working on it.
Good evening, everyone. Just moving on from her, the part that's not affecting her with the recession. We haven't been affected really with recession either because everyone loves sweets. So that is a comfort to say. And I'll start off by telling you, my mother couldn't be here this evening. She's at the bakery, but our business started in our home close to about over 30 years ago, and I had the vision once the company was kind of placed in my lap to open up a retail store. And we're celebrating our 15th anniversary this year. We have two locations in Harlem. My brothers run one location, which is at 2380 7th Avenue. And I run the location at 121 St. Nicholas Avenue on the corner of 116th. Our business was created, as my mother would say, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she created a business that really was inspired by my grandmother. Our family's from the South. And as African Americans, you look to start your own business, even when you don't think you're starting your own business. It's a hobby that turns into the craze of everyone. It's like, you always have someone that goes, oh, make that cake, or, you are a seamstress. We're all natural entrepreneurs, and we have to tap into that at any given time, age, or situation. And when she started the business, because I was about 5 or 6 years old, and to me it was just, my mom makes cakes. And at the point that I started doing it, I saw the importance that she started with. It was a culture, it was a tradition that everyone got a cake from my mom. And I saw the specialness in that, and I said, wait a minute, I need to take this to the next level. And Make My Cake was created. We opened up in 1995, and our first location was originally on 110th Street. What I did was, our business is created on doing decorated cakes, but there was recipes that my grandmother had worked with us on over time, and it was now trying to transfer single serving recipes into multiples. So it was not the easiest thing to do starting out opening up a business. It wasn't that easy even getting financing. I mean, you have a great idea, but you don't think of all the stuff that goes along with it. And the business, from the business plan, writing it down, I mean, people don't look at that as being the first step. You know, you have your idea, that's your second step. It's your business plan, because you need to take that to the financial institutions to be able to grant you that money. You hear stories about how people start their business with credit cards and everything else, and I can see from my other panelists that that's not always the best thing to do if you're not in a position to pay things back. So you want to be able to get your business going and have a seed of money and get the doors open. And you don't necessarily have to have a brick and mortar setup. I mean, as case in point with us, we operated a business for so long out of our home that it exposed us to many opportunities of first building up a clientele, creating that following, and then in creating, you know, being consistent with a product that gave us the security to be able to say, okay, we're going to open up a business, you know, open up a storefront. And then when you do that, you're faced with a lot of different issues. And if you don't have your accountants in place, your lawyer, a financial advisor, some of these things I did not know when I first opened up. A lot of them, I'll say, I did not know. I didn't know the importance. We were just asking a friend who we knew, you know, was a lawyer to do this, you know, because the money was getting slim, and we just didn't realize what we needed to do in the beginning to secure certain things and not to have to redo them later on. So I definitely encourage anyone who is looking to start a business, even if with your name, you want to trademark it. You have an idea, you trademark your name. Someone else will take your idea. Mm-hmm. It could be a friend, you know. It's like, so you don't want to take that for granted. You want to just cross your T's and dot your I's everywhere you can, because what you may mistaken to be something that is like, oh, I can get to it later. Trust me, somebody's gotten to it already. Okay, so, and people, you know, you'll have people that will be able to help you in the long run and the short term. So the short term may be someone that you just come in and as a consultant just to help you get started, to get, you know, within that, their area of expertise. You're expert at baking, or you're expert at making gift baskets, whatever it may be, but you may not be an expert at the administrative. So you want to seek out someone who will be able to help you with that. That is critical. Having an accountant who understands where you are located, know what your tax breaks are, just everything. And then you want to also research on your own as well to find out what may be the things that you want to ask those questions. Or if someone is not giving you that service, you're able to be educated enough to go, you know what, I heard about this on the news. There's a tax breaks on this. There's certain things. And then they'll sit there and go, yeah, okay, you know, and they're on it. And you have to have that confidence with whoever is handling your money and handling your legal affairs. Our company, I have to say I'm very proud of the direction that we've gotten to with our service. And that's very important. You know, you can have a great product if you don't have good service. And that service starts with the owners, you know, because your staff is the front people for you. So you want to be able to concentrate on great service. That turns into dollars all the time, because you know as consumers, you're going to go extra mile to go to that place that not just has a great product, but great service. And we've built our business on relationships, having a relationship with our clients, being able to know what they like. You know, they come in, they know our names, you know, we know their names, and that's what has been a blessing with our establishment being in Harlem, in a small community. And we get, you know, of course, the outside tourists and what have you, but what has been very critical is that we build that relationship with the immediate clientele, and the word of mouth travels. So that's very important. You know, you think of that. You know, you go, because anybody can do exactly what you do, but what will separate you from everyone else will be the service. I think that's.
We have our last speaker of the night. It's Ms. Regina Smith. She is the Executive Director of the Harlem Business Alliance. She's going to speak to you a little bit more about business services through this organization that I've been operating here in Harlem for quite a while, and all the education and support that you can get through that organization if you currently own a business or plan to start one.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be brief. It's been a long evening. The Harlem Business Alliance was founded about 30 years ago, in 1980, and it's been an organization that has focused on advocacy around small business development within the Harlem community. So briefly, what we do now is we offer a number of workshops and seminars around computer literacy, financial literacy, and we also pull together on occasions promotions, marketing promotions, because we would like to drive traffic to our Harlem retailers and restaurateurs. And we also offer classes in marketing, and I have some brochures here for anyone who's interested, or if you know anyone who's interested in business, please feel free to pick these up. Our web address is on here, our telephone number. If you call our office, we will add you to our distribution list, and our next series of workshops are actually titled The Brand New Mommy One-on-One, and it's going to be 4 workshops that we will be holding between now and December 1st. I have flyers here for you to pick up as well, and that's it in a nutshell.
I just want to say that anybody who gets on the HBA email list will get bombarded with information. It seems as if every month they're having a seminar, every month they're having a workshop. They're really doing an amazing job reaching out to businesses of all types in the community. And so I implore you to go to the workshops, go to the seminars, hear what they have to say. There are a lot of viable businesses in our organization, in our community. There are a lot of people who have left the corporate world, whether willingly or unwillingly, who are looking to start businesses. And this organization is one of the few within East, Central, or West Harlem that does a really good job reaching out to small businesses. So I ask you to work with them as much as you can. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, the classes are free.
I would like to thank our first Vice President, Gary, for this idea. This was his idea, and I want to give him some kudos. I want to thank Freddie Thompson for bringing together a panel of this magnitude. Wasn't this wonderful? Wonderful. This is Karen. I've worked with Karen down at the Lower East Side doing taxes with her. On this, Bake My Cake. When you go there for 10 times, you get a discount. So I've been there. And Attorney Douglas, we're going to be working, she's going to have me on her matrimonial staff with the taxes.
That's right.
So it's all good.
Accountants are the first line to people with all kinds of problems.
Yes.
People, everybody tells their accountant all their stuff before they tell their spouse.
I just want to make a quick announcement before the Q&A session. Tomorrow night, CNN, if you don't already know, is hosting a documentary by Soledad O'Brien. It's called Almighty Debt, a Black in America special. I've seen it. It is well worth your time. So it just basically encapsulates a lot of what we discussed here tonight, all the information that was shared with you, wealth transfer, businesses, credits, foreclosures, how to prevent, and also the church and how we need to partnership with our churches to be stable. So I encourage everyone to watch that. Also, right here we have from the New York City Department of Consumer Affairs. A lot of literature, please take on debt relief. And information to protect you from debt settlement services. There's a lot of problems in the black community.
Don't do it.
With predatory
Just
lending.
don't do it.
And check cashing places and the fees and debt consolidation, and we need to be aware of it. So, right now we won't hold back. We can start Q&A. Please
I have
stand.
2 questions. One is,
I'm going to take a question for each panelist. Okay, one question.
for
one
Ms.
question.
All right.
It's 9 o'clock.
First question, savings bonds for children. Is that a good idea to still give gifts to babies, savings bonds? I know there are E's and double E's. And at one point, the interest stops after maturing. Is it a good idea to cash them in or just let them accumulate? And whether or not you should continue, is that a good investment for babies,
Yes.
young children?
It's a good investment, and because treasury bonds, I mean, right now, everything is really low, but because they're only small amounts you have to put in, $25, $50, you can continue to buy them, you won't be locked into anything really long. So it's good to keep buying them in small increments. That would be my suggestion. Small increments, not $100. You can buy them $25, $50 if you're gonna do it every week. And you can actually buy it, please buy it directly from the Treasury Department because you can do it for free there. So you don't have to work with you don't have to work with a broker.
You can buy them at tax time.
And you can buy them at tax time.
With your taxes.
But I would definitely make sure that you buy it directly with the Treasury.
Treasury Department, so
Yeah.
you online or?
Yeah, just go to the Treasury Department site and you can set it up to treasurydirect.gov, and you can actually get it deducted from your account, your banking account. You could set it up and it'll automatically deduct amounts.
Bloomingdale's or any other store, but particularly Bloomingdale's credit card, if you don't use it, do you just leave it open or just buy something once a year to keep it active, or?
Why, will they shut you off?
No, I'm asking.
No, it depends.
Do you want permission to go to Bloomingdale's?
No, I know, right?
I say yes, you can go once a year.
No, because I try not to buy clothes on credit and stuff like that.
Usually,
But I mean,
right
I've had it for umpteen years.
Keep it.
But you just don't want to close it.
Don't want to
Don't close it. That's your best credit record. That's your best credit. The longer you've had credit and had credit established, that's what brings up your score, your credit score.
The length of credit.
Yeah, it's the length of time that you've had your credit. That's what brings up your credit score. Having a low balance versus, like if your credit limit is $1,000 and you have $999 charged up on you, that's horrible. That's not good. It should only be 30% of that $1,000 should be on your bill. That's it.
And remember, the reason you establish credit initially through credit cards and you make small purchases, you establish credit through small purchases, but the point is for large purchases.
Exactly.
So it does not help you to get a credit card and then you buy a lot of shoes. And the credit card, and then you hit up a credit problem from shoe purchases, because the reason you're establishing credit is for the car purchase, the home purchase, to start the business. So when you open credit cards, they're to be used to establish credit, to show that you can pay on time, to show that you don't carry a huge balance, all those things. So that way when you go to apply for that loan, for your mortgage loan, you can now show, yes, I will pay my mortgage on time, because that's what's important to the lender.
And you need to shop for credit also. You really need to shop for credit. I just recently purchased a brand new bedroom set and a brand new kitchen set and a brand new living room set, right? I have 15 months to pay everything off with no interest. I can do that. No interest. That's nothing extra out of my pocket. That's how I shop for my credit. Do you know what I mean? It's much better. It's paid off. It's a good reference. I'm done. And I paid nobody's interest, no interest whatsoever.
And the 529 is another investment option for children. So what happens with the 529 is you invest into mutual funds, and then the child, all of the gains that you accumulate in that account when the child goes to college and they use that, all of those gains are, you take that withdrawal tax-free. So that's another account.
We're gonna get information on the
Yeah.
529.
Yes, I will, okay?
But where did she find out about the 529?
You can go, you can go to a bank,
You go right online.
wait, yeah,
Go online.
what is it called? Why am I forgetting? You save it, yeah. New York State, yeah, I'm like, why am I forgetting? You can go on your state.com, but it
The
depends.
529 plans, you can shop.
Yes, I was gonna say, don't just pick the New York State, because there's a lot of states that offer better plans, better funds in their plans. Also, there's tax advantages for, there's tax advantages in your state if you do use your state's fund, but you have to look at that to determine if you want the trade-off of the write-off from your state, or do you want to use a state that has a better selection of mutual funds? So that's a decision, and it depends on you. You would have to sit down with a planner or really look through what is advantageous to you, to use your state's fund or another state.
Any other questions? One more question? All right, listen, I'd like to thank Frida for the job she's done. She is amazing. This woman has been planning this for months. Emails are detailed. This is the kind of work we want from our committees. So we're asking that people get involved in their committees, work as hard as this woman has put together this. I think this is amazing. I think this panel is going to be available for you guys to speak to as we have some dinner. Okay? So support our businesses, support our consultants, and thank you all for coming.
Yes, this was my first meeting of the Midtown or Mid-Manhattan NAACP. It was a great choice. The panel discussion tonight was absolutely fabulous. And being someone who's in the industry, I can vouch for just about every word that was spoken by the panelists. My name is Mike O'Neill. I'm an insurance agent with New York Life, and it is my intention to give very serious consideration to joining the Midtown Manhattan branch of the NAACP. Thanks to Marion Bell for her invitation.
Okay, at the Harlem Business Alliance, we also offer free technical assistance. Clients can come in, sit down with our business specialists and talk about their business plans, their interest in starting up a business. And we also have an accountant who assists businesses and entrepreneurs with straightening out their books. We also do MWBE certification for those individuals who are interested in doing business with the city. Thank you.
My name is Ryan Mack. I'm president of Optimum Capital Management, and I am a proud member of the New York City Housing Authority, NAACP. We had a meeting tonight, and at this meeting we talked about a lot of issues, about a lot of politics, about a lot of things in terms of helping the agenda, making sure that more folks come out and start to vote, a lot of policy issues that are very important across the entire country. I mean, this is something at the end of the day, this is the grassroots where we're at right now. We are really trying to make sure that individuals are cognizant of exactly how important their civil rights are. And this is what the NAACP does, so this is what it's all about tonight. So I really appreciate it, and I have a great time.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Baylor, co-owner of Make My Cake Bakery in Harlem, and I had to say that this event was very extraordinary. It's very important for us to have economic wealth and education. So in regards to these type of panels going on, I encourage it. And I also look forward to being a part of any other panels that the NAACP has to present.
Hi, I'm Minyelle, SVP of Optimum Capital Management. I'm at the NAACP Women in Economics Summit. It was a great event. We talked about insurance, we talked about investment, we talked about business ownership, we talked about credit, and I just want to say to the people, not only the attendees, but also to the public, please do not be fearful of the stock market and investing. We are out of the market right now as a community, as a black and brown community. We need to get back into the market. The stocks are going back up. The economy is recovering, and we're missing the opportunity because we're fearful and we are ignorant to the information that is out there.
Hi, I'm Lori Douglas, and I want to thank the Mid-Manhattan branch of the NAACP for inviting me to the Women's Economic Empowerment Summit this evening. It was my pleasure to speak to the membership about the importance of estate planning and proper estate administration, because as I always say, everybody's going to die, you just don't know when. And it's much more important to plan so that your families can be well protected and your wealth can transfer efficiently than to leave it up to chance upon a person's death and then to have to do a complicated and confusing estate administration. So everyone in our community, please do your estate planning, and when someone dies, see an attorney for a proper estate administration, and the African American community can get wealthy.
Okay, well, I would just like to say that the panelists gave great information and things that I think everyone will take away with. I think the value of understanding estate planning can't be said enough. There's great opportunities that we miss oftentimes with securing the safety and the stability in our families because wealth isn't transferred. Everyone does know someone who doesn't have a will, and when they die, it's called in escheat, and it actually is the property of the state. So it's important that families understand that if there is no will, then the state actually has precedence over that property. And property taxes that don't get covered, that don't get paid. It's really important that people are educated and understand the importance of maintaining the wealth that we've built. We've always been landowners, we've always owned property, and to keep that in the community, and also to legacy all of that, the information to our children and our actual assets, to turn that over to nonprofit organizations like this one. There are great tax benefits for it, and to keep people feeling that they can move. Sometimes what you accumulate in your lifetime, the seeds are planted, but it doesn't bloom, maybe until a generation or two. But we have to start planting seeds.
Hi, I'm Jerry Cobbs, and tonight I learned mostly about how important it is to take care of your financial business today or yesterday, because we can't assume that we're going to be around forever. And it is so important for us to name people that we feel should be our inheritors, and to do that immediately. I can't stress it any more than that, than to say to do it immediately. Don't assume that your business will be taken care of after you're gone. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gary Johnson. I'm the first Vice President and the Chairman of the Economic Development Committee. Tonight we had an excellent seminar on women in small business. Our community is a community that has entrepreneurs, always has and always will. In an economic recession that we've been going through, it gives us the opportunity to refocus on the entrepreneurship that we all have. We've learned about financing. We've learned about the importance of establishing good credit. We've learned about the importance of building the assets that are necessary, transitioning those assets to the next generation, protecting those assets, and even making contributions to organizations such as the NAACP Mid-Manhattan branch within our own wills. We've talked about small businesses that are generational with Aaliyah from Make My Cake, and we've talked about the resources that are available from organizations like the Harlem Business Alliance. These are some of the things that this branch will be doing in the future, and we hope to be able to spread the word not only throughout the city, but throughout the state as we spread the word on financial empowerment for our community. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Pauline Bostic, and I have truly enjoyed this panel discussion. It was extremely informative and enlightening. And it was wonderful to see so many women of color that were able to give so much to our organization. And we are looking forward to the next time that you will come and grace us with your presence. We thank you so much.
There truly ain't no power like economic power. I am so excited that women, minority women and business owners came this evening and shared with us the things we need to get about our business to do. I have to admit that some of what was shared tonight was not part of what I've been doing. And so I've got to get on the case. And I hope you too will find it in your busy schedule to get on the case. Whether you're a man or a woman, these are things we have to do to bring the power back to our families and to get ourselves on the right track. It's all about what we do in the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.